Hi everyone! Welcome back to my live writing test series to write a brand new essay in response to this week's newest IELTS Task 2 question. Alright, let's see what we have for today. Nowadays, many people with families leave their country to work abroad. Do you think benefits of this trend outweigh the disadvantages for the families? Give your opinion and include any relevant examples. Okay, this looks pretty straightforward, and of course it's a very common topic as well. Just gonna let me see, where's my cursor? Alright, let's see. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, what do I always do first? I have to write my introduction. Okay, so what's my theme? I know that my type is advantage, disadvantage, but then I have to think about what kind of essay is this? Like, what's the theme? What's the topic? As you might have guessed, it's immigration. Or you could, even think, for example, they're talking about families leaving the country, but that's obviously immigration. One thing I always caution against is to avoid being fixated with, any one word or phrase. So despite the fact that you see families, country, work, don't let that confuse you. Make sure that you read your question to understand the meaning. Don't just try and guess something by keywords. 40 minutes is enough time if you have the right way of doing things. Right, okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to write first my background statement. You might have seen there's a change. I've become conscious of the fact that I used to write main idea sentences first. I can still do that, but I think some people are a bit thrown off by that, they're a bit confused by that. So I'm just going to do it this way. Okay. So the first sentence has to be a general comment, not generalized, but just a broad statement about the theme or topic of your essay. So you could potentially write something about, young families or people choosing to work elsewhere because obviously they're looking for better opportunities for their family. That just seems like a very reasonable thing to do. Okay. Immigration from developing nations is at an all-time high. And we could say maybe fuel. Are they saying young people anywhere? No. Okay. Well, I could potentially say that, okay, immigration from developing nations is at an all-time high, fueled largely by families or people with families looking for a better, maybe more stable, looking for better opportunities, better economic and social opportunities. I think that is good enough. Again, you don't want to give any examples, you don't want to explain anything, you don't want to justify anything, you don't want to give any reasons. Okay, that's not the sentence's job. Every sentence you write, in fact, should have a job. And just like any kind of a job, you don't really want to you really don't want to burden the sentence with doing another sentence's job. Okay, so you've got to be careful about that. Right. Okay, this looks good. I feel like it might be a bit too small. I don't know. Let me just check the word count. I'm going to keep this on. Okay, well, that's fine. Migration from developing nations is at an all-time high, fueled largely by people with families looking for better economic and social opportunities for themselves and their loved ones. Okay. Do I think it's beneficial? Or, well, yeah, I obviously think it's beneficial. Do the benefits outweigh the disadvantages? Okay. Although it may seem a risky choice, such a move, I mean, you might think, well, that's a big decision to make, right? Like just deciding to go live someplace else or just kind of uprooting yourself. And that makes sense. It's definitely a huge decision not to be taken lightly. But I think it's largely, I mean, people wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't beneficial, right? I mean, why would somebody take such a big risk? So although it may seem a risky choice at first, such a move is, let's see, offers a near endless range of benefits. There we go. Right, I think I'm just gonna get a sip of water first. There we go. Got a bad throat today. So, although it may seem a risky choice at first, such a move offers a near endless range of benefits that cannot be overlooked. That makes my position pretty clear that, okay, this person supports the idea of immigration. I'm not sure if you can see, oh, okay, so the word counter thing is like, it's at the side. Oh, you probably can't see it. Anyway, that's fine. That's not a big deal. Right then, let's get on with the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to write our main idea sentences. So main idea 1, 1, 2, 3, main idea 2, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to present a weak opinion first, and that's the whole risky thing. My sentence has to be broad, not specific, no detailed information, alright? So what can I say here? Making the decision to uproot oneself might seem fraught with, I don't want to say risks again, not that you can't, but it's just I don't prefer doing that. So making the decision to uproot oneself and one's family might seem fraught with challenges. And then my next main idea sentence, I'm going to start with however, I mean, nobody takes such a decision lightly, right? They're all thinking about it, especially, you know, when you've got a family to take care of, you're obviously going to weigh the pros and cons very carefully. So to say that, you know, it's, I mean, sure, definitely there are some challenges, like the culture, the language is all new, there can be misunderstandings, but it's ultimately facing that is still better than whatever treatment these people were getting back home, right? So let's see. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna write that down here. Cultural shock, language barriers, and what else? Homesickness. I mean, you know, you may move with like your children and your spouse, maybe your parents, but you've got extended family, cousins, sisters, aunts and uncles. So naturally, I mean, your homeland will continue to be a very important part of who you are, right? So homesickness, it can take a range of, I mean, it can show up in a range of ways, missing the food, missing, you know, the cultural aspects. Of course, I mean, that is kind of reduced. The world is so globalized. Doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. So, however, let me see. I have to craft a good sentence. I don't want to, let me think about that. So, might seem proper challenges. However, emigrating to a better country significantly improves people's quality of life. Better governance, what else? Public services. I'm just going to put that in here. I mean, it's a really different thing though. Anyway, think about what challenges people face in less developed areas and how they wouldn't face those challenges elsewhere, right? Um, Higher incomes, less inequality in society. I don't know, I think that should be separate. Higher incomes, and what else? More, I could say stability generally. There we go. I think I'm gonna put public services here as well. There we go. That's it. I'm done. I can probably check these ideas and see if they need to be rearranged. I think they look fine though. Cultural shock. That's the number one, I think, most important thing. This is fine. I think um, I think this could be number one instead. People are seeking stability more than anything. I think this can be fine this way. I'm just gonna put it over here. Like when you think about a lot of places which, you know, they're not very stable, whether it's because of, you know, the job market or just the kind of demographics the place has, or whether they're facing civil war and things like that. So I think that's number one reason why people move. All right, there we go. So I'm going to start my first body paragraph. I'm going to take these put this over here. Okay, cultural shock. Perhaps the biggest challenge or the biggest issue cultural shock. As I mean, it's a different thing to consume media, you know, through the internet or TV is one thing, but actually living someplace where things are so different, that's a really different experience entirely. Okay. Perhaps the biggest concern is that of cultural shock, as people, when you grow up someplace, we're used to doing things a certain way. Culture causes them to behave in certain ways, which may be seen as strange or disturbing to others. And culture shock goes both ways. Other people might be, you know, might think that your practices are weird, and you might think their practices are weird. So it goes both ways. Strange or disturbing to others, leading to misunderstandings or not strife, but yeah, cultural clashes. Maybe distrust as well. I could give an example here. Behave in certain ways and believe certain things. To have certain behaviors and beliefs. To have certain behaviors and beliefs. Yeah, I know. Such as, let's see, which may be seen as strange or disturbing to others. Not disturbing, maybe just strange or peculiar. Dietary concerns, for example. Some people don't like the idea that others eat pork, right? Again, I don't know, that's just statutory preference. It's valid, but I don't want to make this too huge. Or maybe I can give an example elsewhere. Another major concern is the language barrier, which can make new immigrants. The language barrier can be a disadvantage because you may not be able to express yourself very well, right? So which can make new immigrants lose out on economic and social opportunities. I've already said that, haven't I? Oh, yeah. At the workplace and elsewhere, if they are unable to clearly communicate with and understand others, which can also lead to loneliness. Ultimately, all of this can also lead to what was I saying? Culture shock? No, homesickness. Yeah. As leaving one's cultural traditions, food habits, and even other family members can make one feel depressed and perhaps, I mean, obviously you can always go back for holidays and stuff, which is why I actually am on the other, which is why I think it's not that big of a deal. Let me just read this once so I can see if there's anything I need to correct. Making the decision to uproot oneself from one's family might seem fraught with challenges. Cultural shock is the biggest concern as one's upbringing causes them to have certain behaviors and beliefs which may be seen as strange to others in some sort. Another major concern is the language barrier, which can make new immigrants lose out on certain opportunities in the workplace if they're unable to clearly communicate with and understand others, which can also lead to loneliness. Ultimately, all of this can also lead to homesickness, as leaving one's cultural traditions, food habits, and even other family members behind can make one feel depressed and isolated within a foreign environment. That may start to seem hostile. You just don't understand other people, and then you feel like, these are not my people, right? Okay, and then my last sentence says, if people choose to immigrate, there are certain things, few issues they must contend with. And then I have the other paragraph, improving people's quality of life. Immigrating to a better country significantly improves people's quality of life. This is because such people benefit from living someplace that offers them stability, whether economic or social, and a place that's free from civil war, strife, and intolerance. For example, many victims of the Syrian civil war decided to apply for, they essentially decided to apply as refugees. That's not very desirable, but it's still better than being bombed to death every day, right? So many victims of the Syrian civil war decided to apply as refugees in other neighboring countries where they could at least live. Right? That's a very extreme example, of course, but a very relevant one. I think this is a bit too large. I'm gonna have to cut it short, but that's fine for now. Emigrating to a better country significantly improves people's quality of life. This is because such people benefit from living someplace that offers them stability, whether economic or social. I can just say and social stability, free from civil war, strife, and intolerance. And then my other idea is higher incomes. Yeah. Higher incomes sound, in addition, many wouldn't call them expats as such, but immigrants. I think I've already used the term immigrants. Oh, there's something missing here. Okay. So in addition, many people also benefit from earning more money in a developed country. Many people also benefit from earning more money in another country compared to their homeland. To the incomes they could earn in their homeland, which of course is great. I mean, which of course is, I mean, that only benefits your family if you earn more money, right? So let me just read this. In addition, many people also benefit from earning more money in another country compared to the incomes they could earn in their homeland, which of course is immensely beneficial when it comes to supporting a family. And finally, the last idea, better governance. Okay. Apart from these benefits, they also experience, or maybe other countries also offer better governance. I could say a more, let me see. How do I note? Okay, public services. Other countries also offer better, more transparent governance and public services, such as free healthcare and education, which many developing countries could not even hope to successfully achieve. Okay. Better, more transparent governance and public services, which many developing countries could not even hope to successfully achieve. There we go. And then I'm gonna just say therefore, right. If families move to developed nations, their standard of living significantly improve. That's it. Then my conclusion. So in conclusion, it is evident that, and then I'm just gonna think of my two main idea sentences. So yeah, while let's see, despite the fact that there may at first be a few, we could say, what do they call it? Teething problems. I forget the term. I mean, it's just a term you use for infants, really, but it applies very well. So there may at first be a few teething problems. I'm not sure though. If it may not be entirely a good idea, so I'm just going to take that out. There may at first be a few problems, or I don't want to use the word problems, right? I want to try something else. or may at first be, okay, despite the fact that people who choose to immigrate, despite the fact that people who choose to immigrate may at first need to deal with some inconveniences, they almost always, oh, I know there's something wrong here. They almost always end up benefiting in more ways than one, as we've shown. I know there's something wrong here. Let me just delete that. I swear. Okay, I'm gonna type carefully. There shouldn't be a problem now. Okay, looks good. They almost always reap benefits far more numerous than what they could have back in their homelands. There we go. And then I can give some kind of warning or advice. So if people truly wish to, have the best possible lives for themselves, they should do what it takes to move to better countries, regardless of what other people may think or say. It's your own decision to make, essentially. Okay, there we go. This happened really quickly. I mean, when did I start? I started at 7:20. Oh my god, that's 27 minutes. Okay. Well, that's kind of impressive. Not to toot my own horn, but what I'm saying is that, writing an essay is fun. It doesn't have to be some, horrifying thing. And this is 409 words. This is like, okay, good. Definitely not as huge as the last one, I think. Right, so I'm just gonna, wow, this is really short. I wonder how I ended up doing it in 28 minutes. Okay, well, anyway, so here you have, these were my ideas, and then I ended up creating a whole essay out of them. You can do it too. It's just a question of having the right skills and having somebody teach you how to do things. Okay, so I'm just gonna read it through so I ensure that I'm not missing anything. Emigration from developing nations. I'm not going to read it out loud, and you can of course pause if you want to, read it carefully. My students will find this file in their folder. The loved ones. It may seem a risky choice at first. There we go. Making a decision. Okay. Okay, looks good. There we go. All done. And that's all for today. I'm gonna wrap up, I think, even though it seems like, well, I finished way too early, but I don't know, maybe it was a really simple question. Anyway, let me know what you think. And of course, if you have any recommendations, although I try and get like the newest questions, if there are, because I do get people who sometimes go onto my website and ask me, what does this question mean? And, how do I respond to this? And it can be difficult to like keep up with all that. So if you could just, post here if there's a question you would want me to write an essay for, then I think that could be pretty good. Alright, so that's all for today. You can check back in a couple days on Saturday. I'll be recording a new speaking test. Or, you could just come back next week and see me write a new essay. Alright, then I'm going to wrap up. That's all for today, but I'll see you next time.